Welcome back to Mark Holobit's vlog. Everybody, thanks a lot for joining in on this. Well, I would definitely say it's a nicer day out here today. Sure, I'm wearing a jacket. It's probably around freezing temperature right now, which would be about 0 degrees. And it feels very, very nice. It's refreshing. As you saw last week, very cold. So again, we've had that shift, and that's been the theme. The up and down shift throughout the whole season has been pretty much like this. But I have to basically get to the point of the video. There's two things. Number one, it's a very, very tragic time. Unfortunately, we all hear what's going on the other side of the globe. And I truly, truly do feel devastated by it. I actually have ancestors from that. I'm Ukrainian myself. And to hear of what's going on across the other side of the globe is absolutely tragic for me. Knowing that I have cousins and aunts and uncles and relatives over on that side of the pond that are basically getting under attack right now. It's absolutely tragic and truly, truly is hitting very close to home again. Huge tragedy for me, and I never thought I'd ever see that. We always know these sort of conditions or these situations are always imminent, but here we are now. We're actually seeing it. We're living it. We're in the middle of this, and it's truly tragic. And for all of those out there who either are Ukrainian or come from there or have relatives there, you know what? My prayers are with you guys. I really, really do see this as a tragic time in history, and sadly, hopefully it doesn't get worse than this, and it's just sad to say that we're even seeing this. But clearly, I want to get to the point of the video today, and here we are. What do we see here? Again, another week goes by, we have no X5. Well, we have the Benz, and we have a little Honda there, and we have the cars in the garage. I have the F-Type, which a lot of you guys love the F-Type, and we'll be doing a lot more content on the F-Type. Don't fear. I'm not scared to drive it in the winter, and we've been driving it on and off, but you know, the conditions have been pretty rough this year, as I mentioned before. Of course, with lots of heaving, now we're getting the freeze thaw, and the roads are getting really bad. Of course, extreme, and you get the rain, and then the freeze the next day, and it's been very treacherous. So I haven't been driving the F-Type as much as I'd like to, although I have been driving it, and clearly, if you look at it, it's quite dirty. As you can see, there's all kinds of water spots and dirt all over it. You know, I'm not scared to drive it. That's been the point of the car in the first place, was to use it as a daily driver. I love this car. It's absolutely immense. Great in every way. And yeah, it pains me to see that you've got dirt on it like that. But we are definitely going to get that car back on the road, and I'll share more content with you guys on that. But what do we have here? We have the M5, E60 M5. And that really is the whole point of this video today. And that is about BMW. And I hate to say this. I mean, I think I've finally hit the crossroads as far as this goes. Now, you know, some people, we all have a tolerance for everything, right? We have a tolerance for squeaky voices. We have a tolerance for, you know, bad working conditions. We have a tolerance for maybe vehicles that are very unreliable. Clearly, we talk about that regularly, and some of the tolerance here, I think I've finally snapped. I've owned 5 BMWs in my years. I owned E36s, so we had a 318 Ti, a 320i. Also had a 335, that was an E92. We have the E60 M5 there. We also have the current E70 X5. And while some of them have been better than others, for sure, to say the X5 has been terrible is not true. I mean, I've done numerous videos about that vehicle, and I would say actually it's done fairly well. Overall, it's got 221,000 kilometers on it. And you know what? If it weren't for this whole diesel exhaust fluid tank issue that we've been talking about from last video, we'd still be driving it around and enjoying it, you know, putzing around in the road conditions. It's got a great all-wheel drive system. The gearbox is solid on those with the ZF Autos. They're a workhorse. The diesel engine is actually a very good engine, has good power delivery, and you know, the whole vehicle holds up well. You know, I would literally easily say that BMW probably has some of the best rust-resistant capabilities of any car I've ever seen. I mean, it's important to have that, because where we live here with snow and all that garbage that they put on the road, you've got not just the snow, but they use the salt and the gravel all over the roads to help melt. And that's all for the sake of, you know, safe driving. But the cities and the counties do that. They throw the salt, and it absolutely just rots out vehicles. As you can see on the Mercedes, you see all that salt splatter. Like, it's just horrible. I mean, look at all of that. Nobody likes to see that on their shiny Mercedes-Benz. But this is what we've got going on in where we live because of these conditions. And I would truly say that my experience shows that Benzes don't generally hold up as well. Certainly, BMWs hold up very well against fighting off their whole rust animal. So, you know, the X5 has been okay over the years. Now, that's not to say we haven't had problems. I mean, with the X5, we had a bunch of issues along the way. I've had to do glow plugs on it. We've had vacuum leaks on it. We've had 2 sets of airbags. I'm on the 3rd set of airbags, but then I decided I just went to put a set of rear coil conversion on it. We've had a few issues along the way. Now, of course, we've got a diesel exhaust fluid tank. This is potentially, I guess it would be the 3rd one if we put one in today, which, clearly to me, there's a fault there. And this brings me to the whole conversation today is the X5 and the 335 that I owned. And it only had 60,000 miles on the 335 or 100,000 kilometers. And that car was nothing short of a headache. Every single week, I found myself actually having to open up the hood on the car and replace some kind of part because it was leaking or was broken or had a check engine light. And I was kind of just done. It didn't even make it a year, and I just said, enough is enough. I bought it off a guy, looked like he took care of it. The car showed well, but I was kind of just done with that N54 engine. Just move it on. I had plans for it, but I just kind of lost interest after having to spend every weekend under the hood. Then we have the M5. Now, this car is a different animal. This car here, yes, unreliable. Check that box. Yes, expensive to maintain. Check that box. And also fun as hell to drive. Yes, check that box. So that definitely is what it is. And I kind of knew what I was getting into with an M5. I mean, an M5 it's like driving a Ferrari. No one drives a Ferrari for its reliability. You drive it for its dynamics, its handling, its performance, its sound. That's why people drive Ferraris and Lamborghinis. And it's not thinking, oh, it's the most reliable exotic out there. It's not by any means. If you're looking for reliability, you're probably going to get a Huracan or an R8. Those are probably the most reliable supercars. But people still buy McLarens and people still buy Ferraris. Why? Because of what they deliver. And that's what the M5 is all about, delivering the goods. And so I'm living with some of those issues, knowing what that delivers, because it's really nothing short of a Lamborghini engine under there. Sure doesn't have a true dry sump, but other than the integrated dry sump, it's really nothing short of a Gallardo. And really, to be honest, this car for such girth and weight is actually quicker than the Gallardo. So this is truly a supercar wrapped in a 4-door skin. So you know what? For the time being, I can't say the M5 is going anywhere. I'd probably keep that car around for a while. And I said I would, and I probably still plan to. But the problem is the X5. The X5 is a daily driver, as are these vehicles. I mean, this is a daily driver. That would be a daily driver. And daily drivers need to have some level of reliability. I mean, after all, if they're breaking down every week, imagine the inconvenience trying to get that car to the shop every single weekend. And so this is where I want to really summarize. I think I've come to a crossroads. I realized, sure, I make videos about it and we laugh and we all have a good time and we always try to find the blend. And of course, my other channel motto is life's too short to drive boring cars. And I still stand by that. And that's why I drive cars like an F-Type or an E60 M5 or a Lamborghini or any of that. Now, those cars are extreme. And that's why they're delivering the goods. So you take some of the lack of reliability with it. That's going to come with the program. That's just the way it works, right? As I said already. So you've signed up for that. But what you haven't signed up for is driving an everyday car like this and then having to deal with expensive repairs. Repairs that are aligned with an exotic. I mean, I know somebody, and a Lamborghini Aventador, your annual service is $2,500 to $3,000 per year just to keep that thing on the road if we're not dealing with any major repairs. Well, that's where the X5 is transitioning into that territory. To me, it's not worth it. And that goes with a lot of BMWs. Now, I've often said that the current generation B48, B58 engines with the new generation of modular engines that they're putting in these cars are solid. And they're proving to be pretty solid and dependable. But I'm just at a point now where combination of reliability issues, the X5, I'm having issues, even though it's got higher Ks on it, I'm just getting done. 335 soured my mouth a little bit. And quite frankly, there's enough problems that I've had even with the E40 or the E36 that I'm starting to see the light. Now, there's a certain amount of you have to just accept it. It is what it is. And again, I've done that with these cars. But I'm done with that. And to be honest, to the point of the video title, I will never buy another BMW. I will not buy another BMW. I'll tell you right now, the X5, as good as it kind of has been, it hasn't been without its issues for sure. It has been okay. The point of the matter is this part. So this is the part, the diesel exhaust fluid tank, which we spoke of, is the sore spot for me. And I mentioned in the last video that I reached out to BMW Canada, tried to challenge them on this whole idea and this notion of poor part quality that they're putting into their vehicles, and try to see if they can do anything to show some good faith and some goodwill. And I even reached out and I said, look, I don't want to talk to somebody in some general call center. I want to talk to a manager or supervisor that can make a decision. Well, let me tell you, they told me that they had a manager, that I was speaking to a manager. Well, I said, perfect, good, I'm talking to the right person then. So this went around and around. I emphasized the fact that I have been traditionally a relatively loyal BMW customer, and I've had at least 5 of them. I was potentially looking at yet another one, possibly looking at an M5, has been high on my list, looking at maybe a CS version of the new M5, because that car really is quite exciting, and I'm not going to lie, it's a wild beast. So I had this conversation with this individual at BMW Canada, and he said, I can appreciate where you're coming from. I'll check into it. I'll get back to you in 5 to 7. 5 to 7 came. He didn't get back to me. I called him back. He essentially said, sorry, we can't do anything for you. I said, that's fine. I'm looking for reimbursements of some sort for that tank. Why? Because the original tank went 150,000 kilometers, and how many years? And then along I found out about this warranty to add on, because the diesel exhaust fluid tank was clearly a problematic part, and BMW recognized that, so they extended a warranty to 10 years or 200,000 kilometers or 120,000 miles, and they were putting those in people's vehicles with the 35D or the diesel. And I get it. I'm not looking for all my parts to be reimbursed. Absolutely not. I mean, I drive these cars. I expect things to break and wear out. I even told the individual, I said, look, I'm not looking for compensation for the 3 sets of brake jobs. I'm not looking for compensation for the glow plugs, not even the rear airbags, which are obviously a weak point. I'm not looking for compensation. I do, however, feel that there's a problem with the part. Why? Because we made it to 150,000 kilometers on the original DEF tank, and here we are. They put another one in under this special warranty, and we're at 220,000. We've made it 70,000 or 60-some thousand kilometers, and only just about 3 years. Now they're saying, well, the parts are only warranted for, I think, a couple of years, but they're not even warranting the extended part that they're putting in. Now I get it. It's a 2009. It's an old vehicle. So at some level, they're just like, we're done with it. We've washed our hands. We no longer need to support you, that vehicle, or the product. And that's okay. But I said in good faith, what kind of parts are you people selling us? I mean, if I have to go and spend $3,500, by the way, is the quote I had, parts and labor, to change that diesel exhaust fluid tank, if I have to spend $3,500 on a part that breaks every 2 years, there's a problem there. There's a weak part that you guys are selling the consumer like me, who are getting sucked in by that ridiculous nonsense. Now I'll say this other part. So I explored a few options here, of course. And I will say the local dealer has been great to work with. They've got some ideas, and they're definitely open to some of the other options. And some of the other options were full delete. And I know some of you guys have reached out and said, hey, what about deleting your vehicle? And I thought about that. I personally think some of the people here doing that locally are ripping people off. So full delete, unless I do it myself. And I think there's some companies out there you can send your ECU or whatever, send it away, they reflash it and do all this back and forth nonsense. Or if you do it at some shop here locally, they charge you. I was told a local shop here could do a kind of a fake half-ass delete for about $2,500 or $3,000. And then you have a system that's not really functioning properly. The other thing was, if you do full delete and you get rid of the diesel particulate filter and you get EGR plug-off valve and you remove some of the other parts and rescan it and, do the whole program on it, I can't help but think, we're in 2022. The emphasis is on green. The emphasis clearly on, the transition to electric. And I can't help but think anything that's fossil fuel or ICE engines is likely going to be scrutinized very heavily in the next few years. There's a possibility in Alberta, I could even imagine, and it's only going to go this way, that vehicles are going to be subject to inspections that they adhere to their environmental standards. Obviously, the diesel filters, you're going to have the EGR equipment that's hooked up. You're going to have catalytic converters in place. All of that stuff will likely be a thing. And if I go and do a full delete, I'll have to scrap that vehicle. That's all it takes is the flip of a dime. Local politicians all of a sudden turn a switch on this and say we need inspections on your vehicles now. then you have to scrap the vehicle because it would be way too cost prohibitive and a pain to actually reverse everything back. So now I've just finally figured out, you know what, I get it. You know, the dealers, they're not going to start reimbursing every Tom, Dick, and Harry like myself for parts that start going off the rails. I understand. I get it. That's business. If they did that to everybody, then they wouldn't have a profitable business structure. And of course, that's just life, right? But it's more to the point of the parts that they're selling us. And they're selling us parts that cost $2,000, $3,000, and they don't even last a couple of years. That's where I'm struggling. And now, of course, they're not showing any good faith. So, of course, that for me is an extra struggle. But it's this parts. And we've talked about this with leaky coolant hoses and water pumps, thermostats that are dying on a lot of modern day vehicles. And these BMWs are not built to last. I would generally say design or engineered obsolescence is the key theme here. And clearly, the diesel particulate filter or the diesel exhaust fluid tank seems to be one of the problems. Now, some people say, well, could it be the extreme weather you're driving in? Well, yeah. So why are they selling these vehicles in these conditions? Why are they claiming they can operate in these conditions? Why are they selling it to this market? If the vehicles couldn't tolerate it, they shouldn't be selling it in this marketplace. Just my opinion. So anyway, I have to say, guys, a little frustrated. We still don't have the X5 here. We're still sort of making a decision whether we drive it as is with the fault code on it, or basically, I think we're beyond that though. I think we're get the vehicle ready, make it right, sell it, be on. We probably won't buy another BMW. I'm pretty much done with the idea. Now, are there other brands and vendors doing the same thing? Absolutely, I guarantee they are. But this is what I can speak directly to, and as a result, sorry, I don't think you're going to see another brand new BMW in this driveway right here. And on that note, again, thanks everyone for watching. Let's pray for those in Ukraine. Hope everything works out in a good way. Anyway, thanks again. If you're not already a subscriber, please be sure to hit that subscribe button or give it a good old-fashioned hit. Or, you know, and as well, for those that are subscribers, I really do appreciate you guys following me week after week, supporting the channel and supporting the growth of the channel. I really do appreciate it. This is me being able to talk candidly on Mark Hollow's The Vlog. This is truly a way that I can talk, you know, from the heart, from me, what I experience, the lifestyle, and so on and so forth. So please be sure to drop a line. I'd love to hear your comments. And do you have a particular opinion on what I spoke of today? Love to hear it. Hope to see you guys real soon. Catch you then. Bye-bye.